One of the reasons why Donald Trump, quite honestly, has tried to image himself so strongly as an evangelical, and I think we all know that, with 2 Corinthians that walked into a bar, but he tries to make himself look like an evangelical and a deep Christian, because if the Christians rise up, it's over. If Christians just do what they're supposed to do biblically, the whole game changes. The first thing you said, your action step number 1, was make sure everybody understands that voting is a civic responsibility. Number 2, study and share the message on biblical principles relevant to our society.
You know, Glenn, what has happened is this: too many pastors have been divorced from the political process, and they have just tried to be politically correct instead of biblically correct. Mm-hmm. You know, the Apostle Paul in Acts chapter 20 says, "My hands are free from the blood of all men, because I have not shunned to declare unto you the whole counsel of God." Mm-hmm. You know, the Bible gives an answer to every question. Yes. As a matter of fact, there's another survey from George Barna, which is very telling. He asked a group of pastors, "Do you believe that the Bible addresses every issue facing America today?" 90% said yes. That sounds great until you hear the second question. The second question was, do you preach on the biblical solutions to those problems? Less than 10% said yes. So we must be able to share what are the biblical solutions, because the Bible is our guide.
We are having a problem with honesty and integrity and responsibility, let alone sanctity of life and everything else.
That's right. That's right.
And it's because we've been abandoned by the pulpit.
That's right. That's right.
Action step number 3, encourage pastors and people of faith to run for public office.
Well, you know, there is a very interesting scripture in Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. And it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked bears rule, people mourn. If the people of principle, if the people that follow the Judeo-Christian principles upon which this nation was built, which are the principles also of our Constitution and Declaration, when people follow those principles, we have harmony, we got peace, we got prosperity, people rejoice. When the wicked, those who trample upon the principles that have made America the most exceptional country in the world, when those people that just discard all those principles are in authority, we got chaos, we got economic problems, we got social problems, people mourn. But the challenge is this: if people of principle are not running for office, if people of principle are not even voting, then what's left? The wicked electing the wicked. And it becomes our fault.
People are now at a place to saying, look, they're all like that. And so I'm, just going to vote. We had a caller call in and say, I've never not voted for a liar. And so I know this guy is lying, but it doesn't matter because they're all liars.
Well, but you see, that's throwing the baby with the bathwater. The thing is another comment that you hear very often. Politics is a dirty business. I don't want any part of it. Well, if people of principle say that, politics will continue to be a dirty business. What we need, if you say politics is a dirty business, is we need people of principle to run for public office, and we need for people of principle to vote for people of principle.
We're about to see if principles will actually win in this election. Action step number 4, be informed.
Absolutely. You know, I tell often people, don't listen to the rhetoric. Look at the record. Don't listen to a politicians, what they say. Look at what they do and what they have done. Jesus put it this way: ye shall know them by their fruits. It's about time we do some fruit checking.
Yes. It's interesting. Deeds, not words. Last one, you say, vote for candidates who uphold and defend biblical values.
Well, it's not enough to be informed. The problem is people have been voting tradition instead of voting conviction. They vote for a particular party because their parents or their grandparents voted for that party, regardless of whether that party stands for the principles that have made America great. We need to find where these candidates stand and vote for those that reflect those values that you believe and that have made America that shining city on a hill. Only if we do that can we restore America to the purpose for which this country was created.
Name of the book is A Time for Action by Rafael Cruz, the father of Ted Cruz. Tells his whole story and is really, really a very powerful story. And you will understand why, one of the reasons why I am so, I have so much confidence in Ted Cruz. I didn't at first before he went into office. He talked a good game. I said, I'll be your worst nightmare. And he looked me right in the eye and said, I know that. He has not disappointed. Before he went into office, I met his father. I listened to him speak, and the apple does not fall far from the tree. How's he doing?
He's doing great. I'll tell you, we are seeing people of faith and constitutional conservatives and Tea Party and libertarians and even Reagan Democrats come together in a coalition supporting Ted. You know, the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 14, I'm talking about those 120 in the upper room. It says they were together in one accord. Together in one accord. If we are in one accord, supporting a man of principle, a man that says what he believes and does what he says. And I'll tell you what, I am convinced without a shadow of a doubt that person is my son, Ted Cruz. Two things you can count on Ted. He will tell you what he's going to do. He will tell you the truth. And number two, he will do exactly what he says he's going to do.
That's why the establishment hates him so much. I mean, it's amazing to me that the governor of Iowa can come out and say, you'd better stay away from Ted Cruz because Ted Cruz is against the ethanol subsidies. But this is what we always ask for. We always ask for a politician who will say right to your face, I know this is going to hurt. And he said this. I heard the speech. I know this is going to hurt. I know this isn't going to make me popular among some. But it's not right for the nation. I can't support ethanol subsidies. And I believe he got a standing ovation from that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And as a matter of fact, what he said is, I don't want any subsidies. I don't want the government picking winners or losers. Yes. What I want is for free enterprise to really work in its fullest. So and he realized that it was something from the very beginning. He said, we will phase out ethanol subsidies over a period of 5 years. And I am against all kinds of subsidies. I am about the government getting out of our business, about cutting down the size, power, and scope of the federal government, and let us have the freedom to achieve our dreams by living our own lives.
Latest charges, your son is owned by the big banks.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is so ludicrous. I mean, does that mean everybody who has a home mortgage is owned by the banks? That doesn't make any sense.
Because it is, that's all it is a loan. It's not some...
Against his own money.
Yeah, it's not his secret loan. It's not something that he went and had to have special connections. He went to the bank and got a loan.
And as a matter of fact, just like Pat said, his collateral was his own assets.
Was his own, his own property.
His own assets.
Nobody gave him any special favors.
That's right.
I mean, it's not like Donald Trump, who took out $3.4 billion to try to stay afloat when the casino thing was happening. Was it Atlantic City, Stu, and elsewhere? And he had something to the effect of $3.4 billion in loans coming into him to try to stay above water.
Much of it in junk bonds, which he specifically said he would not do when he got the licenses to get the casinos.
And he did it anyway.
He promised not to use junk bonds, then immediately started using junk bonds as soon as he cleared the point where he had to disclose that, and wound up with $3.4 billion that he couldn't pay.
So for him to disingenuously say that Ted Cruz is owned by the banks, I mean, that's as pathetic as it gets. It's pathetic.
I'm so glad that you're here, and I know you're running off to today to be in Iowa, and I'll be there tomorrow on two. I think I'm going to be there for two rallies. I don't even know where they are. You can find them at glennbeck.com, but I'll be there with Ted Cruz for two rallies, one at 2 o'clock and then one again at 7 o'clock. I think you're coming to the 7 o'clock. So
I'm coming to the 7 o'clock. Unfortunately, I can't make the 2 o'clock. I have a previous engagement, but I will be at the 7 o'clock rally.
Just an amazing thing. A guy who literally thought you were going to be lined up against the wall and shot because you stood up for what you thought was right at the time with Fidel. They took you in and they were going to execute all of you as a youth, and comes over here to America, finds God, finds himself, finds a career, cleans up his life, teaches his son, and his son, from revolutionary father to possible president of the United States. It must take your breath away.
You know, Glenn, it's so overwhelming. Where else can somebody come to a country, that's this unique country, America, practically with no money, not being able to speak the language? And I remember, Glenn, when I was at the Senate chambers watching him being sworn in, I couldn't contain the tears from my eyes to think about this kid, that first generation after I came to this country, not only being sworn in as U.S. Senator, but I believe he will be the next president of the United States of America. Where else in the world can that happen? Only in America.
Not only son of an immigrant, but the first Hispanic. And coincidentally enough, the first Canadian. So we got that going for us. Thank you so much, Rafael. I appreciate it. The name of the book is